everyone, welcome to MorningSpace Studio. In this video, I will show you some advanced use of Elasticshell such as auto-completion, logging, dry run, and so on. Elasticshell is an open source project that includes a set of command line utilities to help you manage Elasticsearch, and it is entirely written in Bash shell. In this video, I will use upgrade command as example to demonstrate all of these advanced use of Elasticshell. Let's take a look at auto-completion first. To remember all the Elasticshell commands, subcommands, options, and arguments may not be very easy. There are a couple of ways that can help. For example, you can run command with --help option to read the help information. Or you don't have to input all of the command arguments because you can let Elasticshell tell you what are the next available subcommands or arguments that you can use based on the context. Other than that, you can also use auto-completion. For example, if we type elash, then double taps, it'll give you a suggestion list for the available commands that you can use. If you type elash up, then it'll autocomplete that for you because only the upgrade command is started from up. Continue to input tabs. It'll continue to give you the suggestions based on the context. With all of these different ways, you can learn how to run Elasticshell commands by yourself. Next, let's take a look at logging. Elasticshell prints logs to the console when you run its commands. It also supports logging to file. This leverages on syslogd and is disabled by default. To enable it, if you are using the Elasticshell Docker image, just simply start syslogd like this. Then we are all set. The log file called elash.log can be found at the folder /var/log. Now let's run a full upgrade and see what it logs to the file. The Elasticshell upgrade command has a subcommand called report. It is used to report the current upgrade status of the Elasticsearch cluster. In our case, we can see there are 3 nodes in a cluster. Each node is a Docker container. The current Elasticsearch version is 5.5.1. We are going to upgrade them all to the target Elasticsearch version, which is 6.3.2. The source version, target version, and host names of the cluster nodes are all configured in main.properties located at the Elasticshell configuration folder. They can also be overridden by environment variables. Okay, let's run upgrade full to launch a full cluster restart upgrade that requires a full cluster restart during the upgrade. As you can see, Elasticshell disabled the shard allocation, then performed a synced flush, which is configurable. Then, it's waiting for the cluster to be stopped. Now, let's try to restart the cluster manually. This is actually done by stopping the 3 Docker containers first, then starting 3 new Docker containers which have the Elasticsearch with target version installed. Let's go back to the terminal window that is running Elasticshell. We can see that the cluster restart has been detected by Elasticshell, and after the new cluster is fully started, Elasticshell will enable the shard allocation again, then wait for the cluster status becomes green. Now let's go to check the log file. Start from here, it shows what subcommand we choose, and all steps that Elasticshell performed with every single request it sends. This is to disable the shard allocation. This is to perform the sync to flush. And these are the requests sent every second to detect the cluster healthiness. Okay, now let's take a look at dry run. It is important to note that some operations such as upgrade, reindex, delete index are very dangerous. To avoid a mistake, you can run Elasticshell in dry run mode before run it in production environment. In order to do so, you just need to add "-dry-run" option. For example, let's try to delete GitHub index in dry run mode. By default, you will see the return response is marked like this. This is true because we don't really touch the target server. All REST calls made to Elasticsearch server are marked and they do not go through the network traffic. After dry run is finished, usually you can open the log file to check the curl command details being involved and see if that is what you expect. For example, in our case, to check if the host name or port number or the name of the index to be deleted is correct. In some cases that are more complicated, such as upgrade, we cannot simply return a marked response all the time. For example, our upgrade report command will actually send requests to Elasticsearch cluster and read the cluster information to know the current version, so that it can decide whether or not a cluster node has been upgraded or not. In such case, we cannot simply return a static mock response. Elasticshell provides a configuration file called dryrun.properties. It's in the Elasticshell configuration folder. We can use that file to configure whatever expected result for every single request. Before check the dryrun.properties, let's run upgrade report command first and check its logs. Here, we can see there are 3 REST calls involved in this command. Each one was sent to a different node to get its cluster information, which includes the Elasticsearch version. We can add the 3 calls into dryrun.properties with the expected version. Here, we force the first node to return 5.5.1, the second one to return 5.6.12, and the third one to return 6.3.2. Let's rerun it in dry run mode. Now you see, even we've upgraded all the cluster nodes, it still reported that only the last node has been upgraded. This is because all version information is coming from our dryrun.properties file rather than the real Elasticsearch cluster. There's one more thing to note. Elasticsearch has a few dependencies to make it work. For example, curl is used to send the HTTP request, and a JQ is a great tool to parse or prettify JSON data. And dialog is used to display dialogues and menus when Elasticsearch runs in interactive mode. If you use the Elasticsearch Docker image, they are all installed out of the box. And if you do not use the Docker image, then you may need to install them by yourself. Most of the dependencies are optional. If they are not installed, there will be alternatives or feature restricted. For example, if curl is not there, the tool will be launched in dry run mode automatically. If JQ is not there, the JSON output will not be prettified, and some features that require to parse JSON data will be disabled. And if dialog is not there, the double-UI-dialog option will not be available. You will be prompted with this information as warnings when launch Elasticsearch. For example, now I'm running Elasticsearch on my local machine instead of the Docker container. And here we see two warnings after run the command. This is because I don't have JQ and dialog installed on my local machine. Okay, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time. This is MorningSpace Studio.